What's up, everybody? It's your boy, and I had a little thought experiment today, and this is going to be a really bad ramble, so prepare yourselves. Recently, in the comment section, I've been seeing a lot of alt-right people, fascists, people on the far right, essentially, because some of them claim not to be alt-right, even though the alt-right say the exact same things, but you know what? I'll take them at their word. But then again, this does not necessarily apply to them, but it is something that I've just seen recently, and it's the best examples. Guys, I'm not picking on you, alright? I'm just saying, you're the best example. And this is to do with history. World War II. Because, you know, it has to be World War II. So essentially, there is the known real facts of World War II, the known quote-unquote narratives. Treaty of Versailles happened, then we had the interwar period, and within the interwar period, we had the rise and fall of the Weimar Republic, and Hitler comes to power, obviously. And then we have the thing after that, where he starts to consolidate his power, and then he starts to conquer other regions in Europe. So he starts off with the Sudetenland, and he also does Anschluss with Austria. Things start to steamroll after the Spanish Civil War. And then we come to the Munich negotiations, where Neville Chamberlain, and I think the French Prime Minister as well, and also Adolf Hitler, they come and they reach an agreement. And Hitler promises not to attack Poland. There's going to be peace, and that's why Neville Chamberlain was just shaking that piece of paper, because he thought he had peace in the bag. Now, of course, there was a caveat to this. There was a warning to Hitler that if he did invade Poland, which he had designs on, he would be immediately going to war with them. They would declare war on Germany, and there would be a new world war, essentially. Now, I assume that Hitler thought that the Brits and the French were bluffing, just like the Kaiser did back in World War I. It's funny how history repeats itself. And thus, he attacked Poland. War was declared by Neville Chamberlain and the French, and World War II started. However, these certain people will then turn around, these far-right groups, and they would say, "No you," essentially. They will argue that it was not German aggression, you know, literally conquering land, and the inability of the Brits and the French at the time to actually do anything. It was not appeasing Hitler, it was not allowing him to do what he wanted to do until right at the very end that caused World War II, and the fact that he was conquering these lands and thought he could, which he did, to be fair, but then they were liberated 6 years later. No, it was British and French aggression. Yeah, you know, the ones that were trying to appease Hitler and simply trying to get peace in Europe to be sustained. And that's why I refer to it as No You. This is the No You Fallacy, essentially. I think there's probably a proper word for it, but this is what it is. This is when you have an argument with somebody, and there's all the facts, and they're actually on your side, and you go, well, this is what's happened. But then they'll turn around and go, using the same facts, or ones that are made up, you know, ones from non-verified sources, or using sources in a disingenuous way, manipulating the facts, and they will just say, "No you." So say, for example, and this is a very British example, because I'm British and English, so I'm going to say this anyway. Say, for example, the start of the English Civil War. What started the English Civil War? Well, normal historians would say, well, the king was trying to essentially become a absolute monarch and tried to essentially remove Parliament. He tried to arrest all those MPs. He was trying to claim power that he constitutionally was not allowed to have. He wanted to return to the days pre-King John, before Magna Carta. He wanted to be like the French king. He wanted to be like the Prussian king, who have absolute power, anointed from God. That's what they thought, alright? But then, a person who might be an extreme royalist, they don't actually exist, but they would turn around and go, well, no, you see, Parliament was simply trying to remove his power. They were trying to make him nothing more than a puppet. Kind of like what we have now, although, let's be fair, that became as a result of the Civil War, and basically King Charles II agreed to all these removal of powers, and then later on, during the Glorious Revolution, it was finally set in stone, the other things. But he would turn around and blame Parliament for all those issues, even though that never really happened. They weren't the ones trying to arrest the king, it was the king arresting them, but they will say, no you. It's simply them trying to put the blame on another person, or another thing. And feminists do the same thing. Like, ranting feminists is just a prime example of this, but it's kind of slightly different. We will we anti-feminists will make an argument. Any argument. I don't even need to give you an example. I could give you an example. Let's just say, for example, child custody. The reason why men have such a hard time in child custody is because of the Duluth model and the societal attitudes we have towards men and women and mothers and fathers. Basically, the societal attitude is that mothers are better than fathers. The child needs the mother more than the father, rather than equally needs both. That is a result of feminist ideology. That's a result of them playing on gynocentrism, stuff like that. And that is why 80% of child custody cases go towards women. And in many cases, it doesn't matter if you are an abusive mother or not, you still have far more chance of getting the kid than the father. Now, ranting feminist, what she would do is say, aha, no you. She would say that no, that is not the result of feminism, even though feminism was the ones who came up with the theory and the practice behind these laws. So no, she will say that's patriarchy backfiring, using the exact same argument, but changing some words. So rather than feminism, it would be patriarchy backfiring. But why would patriarchy make things harder for men? I don't know. Doesn't really matter, because that's just the way it is around there. But you see what I mean? That is the No U Fallacy. And the only way to combat the No U Fallacy is to simply just show them the sources, mainly primary sources, and using other people's secondary sources who are simply giving their opinion on that isn't going to cut it. It certainly does help, but you're better off using their sources. But make sure that it's well-researched sources, because if you make a mistake, they can simply take you to task for it. This is how narratives are formed. This is how these people try to convince other peoples of their cause, of their beliefs, of their ideology. This is probably why neo-Nazis, well, the alt-right, a lot of far-right groups and far-left groups think the way that they do. And there's probably a hell of a lot of people who are susceptible to this. I think they usually prey on the angry people who feel frustrated about things in society, and that is who they hone in on, because they can easily brainwash these people, say, aha, see, it's not your fault, it's their fault. Essentially, they're no youing, but for these particular people. So there we go, there's a No U Fallacy. I'm not very smart about these types of things, and it's probably already got a name for it, but that's just a pattern that I've observed with many different groups of people. It can be applied to any different thing. It can be applied to drama, it can be applied to people lying and people trying to talk about loads of different things. I mean, it's a fallacy. Fallacies apply to many things, not just historical debate and political debate. It can be anything. So anyway, until next time, that's all I've got. It's been your boy, and I'll see you later.